Yeah, here it is. I'll just do a quick. I'll do a quick desktop share. But yeah, this headline really, really also speaks to a lot of that too. U.S. workers are realizing life's more than just a job. Adults who say they find meaning in life from their job declined 24% to 17% over the past 4 years, according to Pew. You're the type of person who finds fulfillment and meaning from your job and can't shut up about it at the bar. Congrats, but it seems you're among a dwindling minority. At least that's the sense from a recent massive Pew survey, which found a 7% decline in U.S. adults who said they derive meaning and purpose in life from their jobs. That's down from 24% who said their occupation or career gave them meaning in Pew's previous 2017 survey, which, that's still a really low number in 2017. But, 2017 wasn't any better than now, not much. In the report, the researchers speculate that the declines in the mentions of occupation or career as a source of meaning may be related to the workplace turmoil so many faced during the pandemic. It's not just pandemic related. The pandemic made people realize how much shit sucked. And people don't want to return to the pre pandemic world that, put them in a state of destitution. Adults with high incomes and high levels of education are still more likely to cite their jobs as a. Yeah, geez, I wonder why. I wonder why. Adults with high incomes and high levels of education are still more likely to cite their jobs as a source of meaning compared to others, those others being adults with shit incomes. Gee, I wonder why. But both of those groups saw declines over the past 4 years. Jobs weren't the only losers in the meanings department either. Mentions of physical or mental health as a source of meaning declined 19 to 11%, while mentions of spouse and romantic partners nosedived from 20 to 9%. Holy shit. People just hate life, man. They just hate life, and they don't know, they can't really figure out why. I think they're kind of discovering the things about it they don't like their job and some of their dead-end relationships and this part, physical and mental health. I think that we've just been in a state for so long in this country where people just don't really have meaningful access to these things that it's hard for them to determine whether they derive meaning from it, if they don't have regular or decent access to it. Like, mental health's not cheap if you don't have really good health insurance, which a lot of people don't. And physical health, that kind of ties into your job, not just high income, but what are your working hours like? What's your work life balance like? Are you afforded an ability to and have a physical recreational life, or are you working stupid hours at a job that especially if it's a physical job that doesn't leave you with much energy to have to have physical recreational purpose afterwards. Yeah, you're just not going to find much meaning in that because you're not going to have access to it. It's not all bad news, though. The share of adults who cited society as a source of meaning nearly doubled from 8 to 14%. Now that's shocking, and I feel like that's a good thing, because if you recognize the society is a source of meaning for your life, then that probably means that you recognize the benefit and need for societal structural changes away from what the society that built you all of this displeasure. If you recognize society as a source of meaning while you're also recognizing all of these things as not a source of meaning, then that means you want to make the kind of societal changes to affect these things. That's good. That's kind of like an awakening. A small but certainly kind-hearted cohort citing nature and the outdoors as a source of meaning ticked up from 2 to 4%. Aw, that should be way higher, man. That should tick up to that should be well in the double digits. Nature is unbelievably important. And outdoors, being in the outdoors is very beneficial to your physical and mental health. And because it's America, 9% of adults cited freedom and independence as their source of meaning, up 5%. That increase was, predictably, mostly driven by Republicans, who usually aren't ones to shy away from opportunities to display their god-honest love of freedom. But none of these motherfuckers are free. They don't know what freedom means. They think that freedom means saying you're free, but like, if you have a shit job with shit wages, you don't have access to healthcare, you don't have access to the kind of recreational, physical or mental health that you need in order to have a purposeful, meaningful life with or without your romantic spouses, who you may or may not hate, then you don't have freedom. You're shackled by all that shit. Especially if you don't have a way out. If you don't have a way out, then you're a prisoner. You're not free. You just think you're free because some asshole is fucking telling you that hating brown people makes you freer than others. I don't know. Interestingly, U.S. adults were also far more likely to mention religion as a source of meaning in their life when compared to 14 other countries with advanced economies, the researchers note in an accompanying post. Across countries, people with higher incomes and education were also more likely to list family and careers as factors that gave their lives meaning. Well, you know what? When you have a higher income, you can have a family. It's part of the reason why the younger generations aren't having kids. By now, it's relatively well established that performing a job that instills workers with a sense of meaning or fulfillment is better than the alternative. Various research papers in recent years and general common sense have shown workers who aren't anxiously counting down the minute until their annoying, unbearable job finally ends tends to have improved mental health outcomes. At the same time, though, work fulfillment isn't the sole driver of happiness, even for people with the best jobs. For some workers, the chaos resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic brought this into stark relief. Millions of people lost their jobs through no fault of their own overnight. I was one of those people. Many of those were able to just barely survive off of expanded insurance and other government relief efforts and got a glimpse of what life was like without their normal job occupying the majority of their day. There was a great quote. Was it Cat Williams? I think it was Cat Williams, but I wish I could find the quote. If it wasn't Cat Williams, whoever said it was a pretty astute observation. But they basically said, to sum it up, like, people are tricked into believing that there are 24 hours in a day, when actually there are 12 hours in a day because the sun sets and then the other 12 hours are night. But people won't. But your workplace. Geez, I wish I could remember the quote, but it's like people are tricked into believing that there are only 24 hours in the day because if they realized that there were only 12 hours in a day, they wouldn't spend 8 hours of that in an office or doing work. That's basically the summation of the quote, which is absolutely accurate. And I think that's part of, that kind of speaks a little bit to this realization that people were having during COVID. Anti-work movement, you should join r/anti-work. Yeah, I've heard about that. I'm not much of a Reddit person. I have an objectively cool job and I still don't find meaning in it anymore. I can't imagine how awful every single day would be if you worked one of these sad-ass retail jobs, or just any kind of job that barely pays a livable wage. There's also a huge shortage of mental health counselors and stuff. All those people who voted nature are from the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, I bet you a lot of them are also in Colorado and shit, places where there's an abundance of and a variety of nature. Freedom isn't free, brother. Nope, sure ain't. Many of those were able to adjust off of. Okay, yeah. Millions of others rapidly adjusted to remote work, which simultaneously introduced more time for activities outside of the office and realigned many workers' traditional relationships to their workplace. And those trends don't show signs of letting up. According to a May survey conducted by Bloomberg, are conducted for Bloomberg by Morning Consult, 39% of U.S. adults surveyed said they would consider quitting if their employers were not flexible about remote work. These changing elements could also have contributed to why fewer people cite jobs as their source of meaning. It's easy at first to read the decline in people who say they find meaning in their work as further evidence of the daunting drudgery of modern work. It may actually be more of a mixed bag. On one hand, research shows employers and societies should strive to provide people with meaningful, enriching jobs that fulfill them. I mean, you're still centering jobs. I don't think jobs should be centered in a society. At the same time, though, working in a system that values this above all other priorities can force workers into a never-ending wheel of toiling where they can convince themselves that the meaningfulness of their labor to their life, even if it comes at the expense of other activities that could bring them meaning. Yeah, so herein lies the struggle that a lot of people are dealing with right now. There's a lot going on. It's kind of crazy to think about how psychotically conservative all elements of our government is right now. Like, and I don't just mean conservative as in Republicans controlling this or whatever. I mean, yeah, Republicans are all conservative, but Democrats are 90% conservative too. And even the progressives or a lot of the progressives who control some elements of governance at the state and local levels, a lot of them are fairly conservative in their approach to the radical sea change that our society is going through right now. Like, this is serious shit, a lot of people are dealing with. And there's like a weird sort of existential revelation that people are undergoing, highlighted by that article there and other things. But then there's also just like the challenges of the social changes, the social movements that people want that, really reached a crescendo with George Floyd and all of that. And, the situations with livable wages and access to healthcare and dealing with inflation and all of that sort of stuff. And it's like, we should be living in much more revolutionary times than we actually are living in right now. And it's remarkable that our government isn't really responding to those times. There's no telling what that's going to manifest in months or years down the road. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked what I said, what Justin said, if you like the content we're providing, if you had any kind of laughs at all, even if you hate us, if you hate my guts, if you want to stab me, if you want to say all sorts of horrible things to me, cool. Like the video, subscribe. You'll get fed all sorts of shit you'll probably hate. And if you like us, you'll get fed all sorts of shit you probably like. So please and thank you.